Hello. I think that's the smoothest I've ever done that. Hopefully I was live for that and I didn't just do that to nobody. Okay, it looks like we're live. Okay. Let me pull up the chat. Oh, that looks weird. I don't know. Is this chat going to work? Maybe I need this one. Hi. Hello. I don't have any trivia to start the stream, so this will be a fun, awkward little moment as I wait and see if if anyone's coming. Oh, I had the wrong chat open. What's up? I'm like staring at it. I'm like, it looks different than it normally does. There's like a private chat on this streaming software that I use, like for you and whatever guest you have on. And I was like looking at it, I'm like, it looks different to what the chat normally looks like. Hi, guys. Hi. How has your guys' day been today? How has your week been so far? What's been going on? I don't have trivia today. I forgot to make some fun like book covers without the info. So humdrum. Oh no. Hi, Justin. Actually, I haven't finished the book yet. Okay, so confession. I literally finished this book like 2 hours ago. Like this morning when I woke up, I had like maybe 100 pages left. So I finished it today. So this should be awesome. Has anyone else here so far read? Did you read the October Creepy Book Club pick, Kill Creek? I think Justin, you said you had read it a while ago. You've read this one and you're ready. Awesome. Beautiful. As long as I have some people to started reading King's Billy Summers, and that took all my reading time. I see. You finished it last year. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember you saying you had read it. Shock says, no, I am here for spoilers. Awesome. Okay. This was an interesting one. I guess for anybody that's watching and just watching to like hang out or whatever and you don't know about this book. It's basically a haunted house story. Kind of. A bunch of horror authors are like called to this infamously haunted house to do an interview, and which takes up about like, I don't know, maybe half of the book. And then the rest of it is how the house affects them after the fact. And it's like, yeah, it's a whole thing. So it's like, it's kind of a haunted house story, kind of not a haunted house story. It's very interesting. It blends a lot of different subgenres of horror, I feel like, which kind of fits because all of the characters kind of represent like different sides of the horror genre. Like they all specialize in a certain brand of horror, a certain style of horror. So it kind of is fitting that the book kind of has a little bit of everything in it. Sounds meta. Like, yeah, it kind of is, I guess. It kind of is. Nitty Girl loved this one. Okay. Yeah. Like like I said, I literally finished this like 2 hours ago. Like I finished like the last 100 pages or so about 2 hours ago. So it's still a little bit fresh, which is good. But probably too soon that I don't know if if I know if I like really liked it or not. Although maybe this discussion will kind of help me get to that point. Wish there was more of the haunted house stuff. It kind of dragged after they left. Yeah, there's the book, like, I mean, it doesn't like look that long, but it feels long. Like it takes its time, I guess I should say. I didn't necessarily think it was too bad, at least for me. I was okay. I feel like it towed that line though, where it was like right when I was starting to get bored, something else would happen, but it would like it would go right up to that line for me where I'm kind of like, oh, I'm getting a little bored, and then it would switch gears, which is nice. The different horror author genre is my favorite part of this. Yeah, and like I feel like it was pretty obvious, I think, with like what authors were being represented here. Let's say one thing I wanted to say before y'all get to spoilers. The author is clearly a big Stephen King fan, but did he have to inherit the fat phobia too? Yeah, Daniel Slaughter. It's one of those things where it's like I don't get why it has to be in like every description of the character. Like, we get it. We get it. And I know if any of you have seen any of my videos talking about Stephen King, that's like one of my issues I have with him. If there is an overweight character in the book, I feel like every description has to mention something about that. And it's very, very frustrating to read. Where it's just like, okay, I get it. Okay, keep going. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. like we're gonna forget or something. And it's yeah. Yeah, I was definitely conflicted about that because it kept happening throughout the book, but he did do a good job of giving the characters like backstory. So luckily, Daniel being overweight is not his only character trait. He has more depth than that, but it's the fact that it like keeps coming up in description as if we would forget. Like like I don't know about you guys, but if you tell me what the characters look like early on, I got it. Like it's locked in here. Billy Summers is rife with it. That's a bummer. I'm trying to read more Stephen King, but I'm going into his older stuff, so I'm like expecting that sort of thing. It's disappointing to hear when it's in something more recent. Definitely disappointing to hear that's being more recent. I just feel like I am also. I just feel like it. Yeah, I don't know. I noticed it. I did. But like I said, I feel like the author of this book, Scott Thomas, I realize that's going to be confusing. Like he gives everybody like adequate backstory to where I feel like, their physical appearance is not their only trait, but it does come up frequently enough, like throughout the book, where I'm kind of like, all right. But I feel like I recognized where most of the authors were drawn from. I think Daniel Slaughter is a pretty clear, maybe like R.L. Stine or possibly maybe like a Christopher Pike kind of character, at least like appealing to or writing for younger people, young readers, young adults. T.C. Moore felt very much like she was meant to represent Clive Barker in this. Sebastian Cole, I don't know if he was like, I get like, I don't want to say he was like Stephen King. I feel like the author inserted himself and Stephen King kind of into the same character, but Sebastian Cole maybe felt kind of like Lovecraftian or Poe to me. And then Sam, felt both like he could be like a Stephen King type character, but also kind of felt like it was the author. Like he had like the author and Sam kind of have similar backstories a little bit. So at least in terms of like where they're from and their style of writing. So yes, Colleen, agreed. I noticed that everyone's physical appearance was hammered home numerous times. I would say probably like on par with Daniel would be like TC. Like I feel like more also we had to like mention her physical appearance constantly throughout. Um Sam was Dean Koontz, but less prolific. I know Dean Koontz doesn't. He says he's not a horror author, so I didn't think to compare him to that. But okay, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, their discussions were interesting. I really liked. I liked and I didn't like their discussions when they're like, especially when Wainwright's kind of like egging them on during the interview and talking about their different like brands of horror or their different like styles of horror. It felt like it felt so accurate to like the horror community online, like people like getting on each other about like what type of horror is better, that sort of thing. That's why I say I didn't like it because it felt so real, but it was good because it was real. So it's like I hated it and I didn't hate it. Oh, he has themes of family and friendship running through his novels. That's true. That's true. Ending was very encompassing and horrific. It goes for a wild ride at the end, like a wild fucking ride. I do have to say I kind of saw like I don't know if we want to jump right into the twist ending. Hopefully, Bree's kind of popped out at this point, not having read the the last book. I did kind of not the last book, the last bit of the book. I did see the twist coming a little bit because I feel like Moore was very clearly dead. In that I was waiting for either like a fake out, like she just hallucinated some of it because the house, kind of made them see things. Either that or she was actually dead. And yeah, so the ending, while the very, very ending, while shocking, I did see coming a little bit. I was kind of like, okay. Did care for the characters more as the story went along and cared about what happened to them. Yeah, I feel like for how slow the book kind of moves, or maybe not slow, it's just like at a walking pace. I feel like for a lot of the book until the very end there, you definitely get enough time to get to know the characters and understand their motivations, which is really important, like why they do things. So why they're reacting the way they're reacting, why they're handling what happens to them the way they do. I wish the finale went a different direction. It felt a little cliche. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like that was like the only way to go though once they set it up. Like once they kind of established that the house was like made to be evil and it thrives on notoriety, essentially it thrives on people knowing about the house. I feel like there was no other way. There was no other way to go, essentially, because it's like I don't know, because it I guess because the way the house is, and it was just created because people put the idea of it being haunted on the house. I guess that also means you could take that idea and transfer it from the house to something else. Like it doesn't have to be the house, it could be anything. And it just has to be talked about. It has to be known. Make sure you finish telling the story. That doesn't get us. Yeah, which it makes you nervous to talk about it, right? Because it's like literally the house's whole thing is people knowing about it and talking about it and telling its story. So like Hell House LLC, I don't remember that movie very well. Excuse me. Doing these after a long work day is fun sometimes. I don't remember that movie very well. So yes, I think I've only seen it one time, so I don't know if I feel like I can speak to that. Um, Generally felt like the equivalent of a comfort horror movie, if that makes sense. Nothing earth shattering, but solid and entertaining. I don't think any of the I don't think any of the aspects of the book really felt new necessarily. Um, but agreed. It was Hell House is exact. Okay, so I'll have to rewatch that movie. I've only seen it once, so I didn't know if that's accurate. Yeah, like there was a lot of tropes in there that felt very familiar, so I can definitely understand it being like a comfort horror movie almost. It's like you're expecting certain things to happen and they happen and it's a fun ride, but it's not like earth shattering, like you said. It's nothing earth shattering. Uh, live hopping. Well, hi. Are there that many live streams going on tonight? Like Wednesday night. Thought I had Wednesdays locked down. Thought I had Wednesdays locked down. Geez. Okay. I had a train of thought and I was gonna ask a question. And now I don't know. So I'm gonna go off of what Bib's saying until that comes back to me. I think the tropes were intentional since it was an homage to the horror genre starring horror authors. That makes sense. It definitely makes sense. For sure. For sure. Absolutely. Okay. There we go. I feel like I think I'm moving too much, giving myself too much headroom. Lots of podcast live streams. Ah, okay. I see. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So I mean, other like I guess going off of the characters, I just of course have to ask who everybody's favorite was for sure. I very much liked Sebastian. I think he might have been my favorite. I think I felt the most sympathy for his character, and also like he just had his moments where he was so sweet, and I'm just like, oh, what a cutie. Favorite on Hell House? No, in the book. Sorry, we're talking about Kill Creek. We're talking about Kill Creek. I don't remember Hell House enough to answer that. I mean, in the book. Witchy Bitchy says same. Sebastian. Okay, more for you, Bib. Identify with trauma as inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, her backstory was really tough. Really tough also, but yeah. I feel like at least in terms of like her corner of like the horror genre like within the book is probably one that I'm the least familiar with. So it was interesting to see. And the fact that they all kind of like embodied that also, like she not only writes those stories, but she embodies it like in the way she presents herself and the way she dresses. No big deal, Bib. I miss people's names all the time, so didn't read the book. No, you're okay. All good, all good. You should definitely read the next month's book though, so you can chat with us about it. That would be real fun. I love that people like come in and have read the book. That makes me so happy. So I like talking about it. I like talking about it. All right. So how did we feel about this whole idea of, oh, thank you. You are a supportive MF. I don't know what motherfucker. I can curse on my own channel. What's next month's book? I will get to that. I do want to talk about though the fact that they are all writing the same book. I feel like that part felt a little like weird to me the way it was in the book. Like it like I guess like, it happening after they leave the house and it's obvious they were going to be affected in some way. But I don't know, I felt like it ended so abruptly with this idea that like the house was like testing all of them and they were all writing it, and because Sebastian finished, they all stopped. I don't know, it just felt like that ended so abruptly. Like it it felt like a very carved out part of the book. I don't know if that makes any sense, where it's just like, okay, so we're going on this trip where we're going to collect everybody and figure out what's going on, and they find the author of that original book, Audidel is his name. And that part, I don't know. I guess I just feel like I guess ultimately the problem I had with that part is like the reveal of like the house's intentions. I don't know if I felt a little bit let down by it. I guess it's just such a psychological part of the book that yeah, Bib enjoyed it. Built tension. What's behind the wall? Which was like, I don't know. Again, I kind of expected what was behind the wall. Hey, Gory. What's up? I also kind of predicted what was behind the wall, though. I guess that goes back to what we were talking about, though. Like, it's, really playing up those horror tropes, that it's like nothing insane is behind that wall. Just the idea that the one sister essentially like buried her sister alive in the room and pretended to be her. Terrible when it comes to fear. You know what? I'm kind of jealous of that though, because as I'm sitting here reading, I'm like, oh, I bet you anything this sister switched places and they got locked in the walls. As soon as they mentioned the thing about the hair, like the one sister starting to wear her hair like her deceased sister, I was like, oh, no, that's not what's going on. The lore felt a little too simple and clean cut. For sure. Yeah. It is a very, like, I feel like for all its like twists and turns and for all like the different genres it goes through, it is very straightforward. Like like we're hitting all of the marks in it. We're hitting all the marks. Haven't read the book, but I miss you too. I'm happy you stopped by. You can always read next month's book, Gory. You can always read next month's book. I don't have it to show. I guess I should have loaded a picture to put up in here. The basement scene. Which one? The one like at the end of the book, or when they all go down to, it's like kind of like the mildly creepy scene when they all go down to like fix the generator or whatever. I love the anticipation of that, just being in a dark room like that, even though you're like with a whole bunch of people. Like that sort of stuff gets me, and it's like so simple. Um, or you mean like at the end? Because that was also terrifying, but I love stuff like that, and especially being a Floridian who doesn't have a basement. Like we don't have basements here. Basements inherently terrify me anyway. I don't like no. I don't want to be under okay, so it is that scene. Okay. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. It's so simple and it like happens rather quickly, but yeah, hate that. Hate that. I don't like basements to begin with. I don't like being under the ground like that. And then that idea of just like staring into pitch blackness and like not knowing what's in the darkness. That's just such an inherent fear. Like it's a very natural fear, I think, because you can't see, like not being able to see means you can't react properly to anything, like any potential danger. So that's terrifying. Uh, and then, your mind is coming up with all of these possibilities of what could be in the darkness. And that's almost worse than what actually is in the darkness, is that anticipation or that, like, your mind trying to figure out what is in there. Exactly, or being afraid of somebody reaching for you. Like just imagine being in pitch blackness, and now I'm gonna think about this when I go to sleep at night, but like a hand reaching out and they're like not quite touching you, but it's like that anticipation that at any second you could feel something like clamp down on your shoulder or something. Uh, Mini basements. Spiders have claimed them for themselves. Yet another reason why I wouldn't want to go in a basement. I just feel like they're full of spiders. That whole scene with the Daniel's like flashback or whatever, when he's like under the crawl space of his house and he's, like there's like black widow spiders all over him. Fucking hated it. Fucking hated that part. We don't have crawl spaces here. Well, maybe you might find a crawl space or two, but definitely no basements. No. And absolutely no spiders. Fuck them. Oh, your bedroom was in the basement? Was it finished though? Because I feel like finished basements are a little less scary than what, at least what I imagine most basements are, which are like like wooden stairs and then like concrete walls, and it's all like drippy and cold, and just all the like machinery of the houses down there, like boilers and whatever, fucking water heaters and shit. uh Yeah, it was like Black Widows, gory, and they're like crawling all over this character, and I fucking hate it. Like if my baseball like got thrown under the crawl space of the house, I'd been like, sayonara. It's gone forever. I don't care that who's it supposed to be signed by in the book? Mickey Mantle? Don't fucking care. It's staying under the house. It's staying under the house. Oh, excuse me. Oh, half of it was nice. Okay, the other half was nasty. Oh gosh. How do I feel about attics? Yeah, also tons of spiders. We do have attics here, so I can't escape that one. What's the difference between a cellar and a basement? Is it not the same thing? Bib saying, I always picture basements are like Evil Dead 2. I know it's technically a cellar. What's the difference? I don't know. We don't have either. You can't dig huge walls, or not huge walls, huge rooms in the ground here. So is it not the same? I need an answer. I think it's the space layout. Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. I don't know. I don't know these things. We can't dig in the ground here. The limestone, and you hit the aquifer. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But that, yeah, the basement scene, fucking terrifying. It was gonna be no matter what happened in there for me. I just, my old house did not have the cellar doors outside. Huh. I don't have my phone near me. Definitely the first thing I'm doing as soon as this live stream is over is gonna Google the difference between those two. Um Jeez. Yeah. I'm not any closer to figuring out how I feel about this book. I don't know what I would even rate it. What did everybody else rate it? That's what I need to know. So I can copy somebody else's rating. Cellars are always below ground and never have windows. Okay. Gotcha. Wasn't there a basement in Crawl? I think that was technically a crawl space, though, because you couldn't even stand up in it. That house looked like it was almost elevated, which I think is really the only way you're going to get a crawl space in Florida. Like, you really can't dig down very far. So I think that was technically a crawl space. Although she was in northern Florida, I think. I'm trying to remember where that movie took place. So you could get a basement, I guess. You'd have to be pretty far north. The movie didn't lie to you, I don't think, but Crawl was a basement. You can even stand in it, though. I mean, I think the movie is up in northern Florida, though. So, I mean, you could dig a little bit. It really wasn't dug out very far, though, because I remember in that movie, there's windows to the outside, and she still had to crawl around in there and couldn't stand up. So it really wasn't dug out very far. A bit rushed. Ah, okay. I see. I feel like the book felt long to me. Like all of it. I feel like it really took its time. Half of the conversation is about the book, half of it's about cellars are for storing wine, and coal usually are smaller than basements. They are entirely below the ground. Okay, gotcha. A basement is the floor of a building, which is partially or entirely below ground level. Cellars, a room below ground level in a house that is often used for storing wine or coal. Okay. And then right back to the book. I love it. Pretty solid 4 stars. Yeah, there were like bits that I guess the bits that I didn't like, they weren't awful. Like there was nothing like terrible that like stuck out about it. So it's like anything that I didn't quite like, I feel like was made up for in other places. If you didn't have a basement, Maven, you wouldn't have spiders. Oh, we definitely have spiders. Don't worry about that one. This didn't expect so much discussion about architecture. Somebody's mentioned, you mentioned cellars and basements, and that, that got my gears turning. I didn't know the difference. Shauna, it was 4 stars, and the ending dropped it to a 3. Okay. I like that, at least like that little twist ending. It does end like real fast right after that. Like it felt very cinematic, where he didn't also drag out that ending. It was just that realization, like all within a page, that realization that more is not more, and then it ends. And so it's, like leaves you, I guess, or it's supposed to mean to leave you with that uneasy feeling. And just kind of leave you at that. So I don't mind those endings. I like kind of being left, I don't want to say like unsatisfied, but being left with that kind of like what happens feeling. I feel like the author just gave up at the end. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the only other way I feel like to end it would be just to have a happy ending, and they all live happily ever after. I don't know how else it would end after that, unless everybody just fucking dies. Which I guess would also make sense because, the Sebastian's the only one who finishes their book, and the way he finishes it is that the house wins, the evil wins, which technically still happens in this ending, but yeah, the with the summary and everything, it does give you the impression it's going to be a straightforward like haunted house story, and it's like the first half is like a straightforward haunted house story. So the author pulled a Stephen King. I have not read enough Stephen King to say yes or no to that, so I will leave somebody in the comments to to qualify that statement for you. Wanted more and better lore. Yeah, I feel like the house's like motivations were very simplistic, I guess. But I guess, like he created this story of the house that it doesn't actually have like a crazy backstory. It's like, yes, something bad did happen to the house's first owners, but that doesn't like they're not the ones that are haunting the house. It was like people's like it was like rumors and word of mouth and people sharing scary stories about a house where something bad happened is what makes it evil. So it's a weird gray area, I feel like, where it's like I feel like it makes sense within the realm of the book. It's just kind of like whether you liked it or didn't. Tends to write himself into a corner and phone in that ending. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I could see that happening here. I could see that happening here. It's hard to end it when that's like the whole point of the house is that it like thrives on people talking about it, and it's not actually the house that's evil. So it's like it implies that there's something else there. Like there's, like this entity can be separate from the house, and that's not really explained. That's not really explained. Like the ending. Yeah, like the twist. Did not like the road trip to nowhere. The road trip to nowhere. The road trip to nowhere. I did review House of Leaves, kind of. Kind of. Was it last October? Gosh, was it last October? I did a reading log. It's if you just search House of Leaves on my channel, you'll find it. I can't tell you that it's a very insightful review because I decided to read House of Leaves in one night. So and that, like, as Gory says, that house is a trip, or that book is a trip. So by the end, like with the crazy book paired with sleep deprivation, funny video, not a great review. Oh yeah, that book. Um, yeah. So I guess I don't know. I don't know what to rate it. Like 3 feels good, maybe. I don't know. I have to have a think on it. They went on a mad dash only to get Sebastian. Was like, oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that was another part that was kind of interesting because like their decision then at that point to go to the house kind of just feels like they didn't know what else to do at that point, because they like figured out that the house was trying to get them to write a book based on the house, which would then like, keep the house alive or whatever, keep it alive. Um and so only one of them needed to finish it, which happened, which is when they all got writer's block. All the rest of them did. Um so at that point, when they make that decision to go, it feels like they don't know what else to do. So it does feel a little strange at that point also, where it's like, I guess we'll just go back to the house and see what's behind the brick wall, right? Like, because what else are we gonna do? What else are we gonna do? Yeah. Would the house have like gotten rid of the rest of them though? Sorry, I don't mean to keep yawning. It's the end of a long day. Would the house have gotten rid of the rest of the authors though? Because in this very simplistic, not very described lore that we have, other characters made a deal with the house. So they had to harm somebody else in order to get what they wanted. But Sebastian doesn't make that deal necessarily. He just is also compelled by the house to finish the story and then finishes the story. But to my knowledge, he doesn't make a deal to like harm any of the other people. So would they all have been okay? Yeah, as long as just one of them finished the story. Like if they hadn't gone back to the house, Sebastian finished his story, he publishes it, they would have all been okay. Right? Or no? Bib, I would have just made something up and got rid of the obsession. Yeah, and Sebastian doesn't seem like the type of person either to like make a deal against the other author. So I feel like they would have been okay. Right? They should just publish the book. Already poking holes in the plot, man. The ending felt like an early Blumhouse production. I don't know about that. It definitely felt very like just shock value, like the oh my god factor, and then leave you with that, with the credits rolling or whatever. I kind of saw it coming, so it wasn't that exciting. I don't know. I recall there's definitely a hole in its logic. Yeah, I feel like that's it right there, because we only have like one other example of like what the house does with the Finch sisters, the two sisters, and that's the only other example we have. So we don't really know the rules. There's always rules. There's always rules, like how the house operates. How the evil operates, and we don't have that here. So feel like if you start picking at it enough, like we've been, you can find some holes in the logic there. Yeah, I guess I'll sit around a 3 out of 5 for now. I'll have a sleep on it though before I really decide. Yeah. I know a couple of you guys asked, and I was just trying to wait until we kind of got through our discussion about the book. But November's book, which you have a couple of days to get in, read it for November, is The Chestnut Man by hold on, I'm gonna totally butcher this author's name. I don't think I'm going to be able to say it correctly, but forgive me. It's The Chestnut Man by Soren Sviestrup. Let me just copy and paste their name so you can see. Sviestrup. I'm sorry, I didn't buy the book yet. I'm going to buy it tomorrow at work. I'm putting it in the chat, though, so you can see. There we go. I probably absolutely butchered that name. So that is our November pick. There's also a show now on it on Netflix, which I haven't watched. I mean, I'm gonna wait until I read it to watch it, but I don't know how many episodes there are, though. I wonder how likely is it that I can read the book and watch the series before a month's time when we have to do another one of these live streams and we talk about it. How many episodes? Oh, just 6? Oh, easy peasy. Okay. Easy breezy beautiful. Love that. All right, that's the November book. So it's right there in the chat for anybody who wants to look. It's on our Goodreads. Also, you can look at the group's shelf and you can see the future book. So you can even see the December book if you want to go look at that. But like we end every other of these streams, like what has everybody else been reading this month? Synopsis sounds like the snowman. I'm thinking of ending things. Oh, get it now, Justin. Get it now. If it's $1.99 on Kindle, get it now. And then you can watch the show. I'm going to attempt to. It's not a requirement, though, for next live stream. Next month's live stream, I should say, when we do Creepy Book Club. Definitely won't be a requirement, but... Well, what has everybody else read this month? I know most of you guys are bibliophiles, so you read more than one book. Oh, I know, Colleen, you were messaging me about that last day. I think that was actually a Creepy Book Club pick a long months ago, like over a year ago. I think that's why I read it. I think. But I remember liking that one. Gothic Tales of Elizabeth Gaskell. Very nice. Love that. We love some classics. Gory Red G. Jeff Lieberman's biography, Day of the Living Me. Speaking of biographies, I read Yours Cruelly, Elvira, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark. I read a biography this month too. It was fantastic. I will admit I didn't read it so much as I listened to it because Cassandra Peterson reads the audiobook for this. And I was very, very interested in listening to her read her story. So I listened to it mostly. So I feel like that added an extra layer. By the end of the book, Gory, though, like... I'd say from about like the halfway mark, like get tissues ready because I, obviously laughed. I giggled. I had a fun time. And I also cried a lot, especially at the end. So just be prepared. Be prepared. Justin just finished This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. Ooh. A haunted smart speaker. Oh my God. Okay. I have to look this up. Just started In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife. That sounds terrifying. I've heard about Stolen Tongues. I've heard about that. I've heard very good things. I hope it was good. Worth reading. Wow. Okay. That's the best first chapter. Okay. Yeah. Stock up on the tissues, Gory. I definitely was a blubbering mess by the end. It's fantastic, though. It's definitely, out of everything I read this month, definitely my favorite, for sure. For sure. And if you were interested in getting the audiobook, I think the audiobook is fantastic. Not horror. I did finish The Well of Ascension, though. Look at me reading these big fantasy books. I feel like such an adult. I also read a graphic novel. This one's a teen one. It's Squad by Maggie Takuda Hall and Lisa Sturl. Hopefully I said any of those names right. But this is like a Mean Girls, but werewolves. I would highly recommend this one. I think the art is so beautiful and it's like very simple, but kind of like cute. Very bloody. Highly recommend. It is YA, so it doesn't get too graphic, but you know, we don't care. We read YA in this house. Who cares? And I did, because everybody was low-key bullying me in the chat last month, I did read The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. I did finish this. It was like the first book I read this month. The first book I read because I wanted to make sure I got it done because everyone was imploring that I read it. Yeah, I gotta say, it was really good. And then kind of like Kill Creek, the ending just felt like a little like, nah. Just, Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I did really like it. Abandoned places really freak me out. So like a whole abandoned village, very like Roanoke style, no idea what happened to them, terrifies me. So the majority of the book I was in. Like I was in, very cultish. Love that stuff. The ending just kind of felt like a little for me, but I did like it. I did like it. You bought Midnight Sun? Oh, okay. I won't say anything. I did read it. I did read Midnight Sun. Teenage Maven, deep down inside of my heart, would not let me not read that book. As much as I like to make fun of the series now, in retrospect, I loved those books as a teenager. So, for all their problematicness. Everyone's talking about now, I guess, since you brought up Twilight, let's talk about it for a second. Because Stephanie Meyer is starting a series. I don't know if it's going to be a series or just like a single book about Jacob and Renaissance Fair. Like, so that's like a thing that's happening. I don't know if it's going to be a book series or just a single book, but so it's not over, Gory. It's not over. I haven't read anything else by Stephanie Meyer. She has that one and The Host, which are both not Twilight related. I haven't read either of them. Well, that makes sense. You live in Washington State, so I feel like, yeah, it's kind of a a proximity thing. So that makes sense. Really not looking forward to it. I don't know that I'll be able to bring myself to read a book about Jacob and Renegade. It just feels weird. It still feels weird. It feels gross. I would much rather get like little novellas or like single books about like Carlisle's life, because that sounds fascinating, or more about Rosalie. Like I'd love to know more about like vengeful vampire Rosalie, or Alice. You know, we can't get a book about like Alice because she has a fucking crazy ass backstory. But the terrifying child, no. The doll is the most terrifying thing ever. What do they call it? Chuck Esme? Is that what the doll is called? Where it's like kind of like melting now. It's very scary. Oh gosh. I love that we've gone from talking about like Kill Creek to talking about the difference between cellars and basements, and now we're talking about Twilight. All in the span of an hour. Book club is the best. Host is another can of worms. Oh no. Why most authors make the secondary characters the most interesting. I feel like the whole Cullen clan is so much more interesting, and I would love to hear about them and not about Jacob's creepy love affair with a child. Obviously, she's most likely going to be grown in this book series, I would imagine, but no thanks. No thanks. Probably pass on that one. Probably pass on that one. Does anybody have any plans for November already for books to read? Besides The Chestnut Man, because I know we're all going to read The Chestnut Man. Basement Cellar was the best. This is why I love live streams so much. I feel like we have like inside jokes. So next time there'll be other people in the chat and somebody's going to bring up the Basement Cellar thing, and yeah. Jacques is finishing The Girl from the Other Side manga series. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. Not that I'm familiar with all the mangas, but I work in a bookstore, so I feel like I should be. I don't really have much plans for November. I had a TBR list for October, and I very rarely follow those. So I am in the middle of reading None Shall Sleep. So I'm definitely going to finish that, hopefully before the month is over, because there's still a couple of days of October left. I'm also almost finished with Goblin by Josh Mallerman, so I'm gonna try and finish that one. I'm not loving it though, I gotta say. I'm not super jazzed about it. I do also want to try and read the next book in the Witcher series before season 2 comes out, even though I know the books kind of bounce around all over the place compared to the show. But I would like to at least get one more Witcher book in my system before season 2. So those are really my only plans for like what I'm going to read besides the creepy book club pick, of course. Piranesi. People ask for that book all the time at work, and I hear it said like 5,000 different ways. That one definitely looks interesting for sure. Need to finish reading Red Moon. Hi, Marielle. Student of mine asked for a book recommendation. She'd like to read a thriller. I don't I read all these scary books, but I don't know that I read much classified as thrillers. Hold on, I'm just looking at my bookshelf. That always helps. Where do I put my thrillers? Where are they? Actually, hold on. I have recommendations. Give me one sec. Let me grab them. Okay, so I have definitely a couple of different kinds here. I really, really, really enjoyed Broken Monsters by Lauren Bucas. This is like heavy on the serial killer vibes, multiple POVs. So like there's, like detective trying to solve it, the serial killer himself, a whole bunch of different characters. It goes a little into supernatural territory, but not too far. So would highly recommend Broken Monsters. I guess kind of along the same wavelength, but a lot shorter, Sharp Objects. This is always like my go-to recommendation for anything like in the mystery thriller area. Heavy topics though. So when you say a student of yours, I don't know how old this person. Oh, thank you. She's 27. Okay. Okay. So old enough to read Sharp Objects. I fucking love Sharp Objects. Or if she wants to go, she, he, they, she wants to read something maybe a little bit interesting. I don't know. I quite enjoyed this one. It's kind of a, I guess, historical fiction thread to it. The Axeman's Jazz by Ray Celestin. A little bit of a slower burn, but very, very, very creepy. And kind of based on a real event, which is terrifying. So would highly recommend that one also. What did everybody else recommend? Oh, just Goblin didn't love it. Yeah, I'm not loving it. I'm not super excited about it. I think the Magician story has been my favorite so far, and everything else has been kind of like bleh. Oh, Intensity by Dean Koontz. That's a good one. I second that recommendation. I have not read Tomi by Junji Ito. I have not read that one yet. Not read that one. We watched High Tension with my patrons, I think, for a movie night, and I didn't realize, like, especially the first half of that movie, it's weirdly almost like scene for scene, like exactly the same as Intensity. Someone also said Gillian Flynn. Yes, highly recommend. I feel like what's her other more popular one? Gone Girl. She wrote Gone Girl. I know that's the go-to for everyone, but Sharp Objects is always the number one I recommend by her. You came to the right place to ask for recommendations, because not only am I a big book reader, everybody else in the comments is also a big book reader. So we always have recommendations. I've only read one Ruth Ware. It's In a Dark, Dark Wood. I mean, I would definitely recommend that one too. I haven't read anything else by that author though, so I can't speak to their other books, but I would definitely recommend any of these for sure. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. That's all I had for this stream. We got so much done in an hour, you guys. We talked about Kill Creek. We talked about basements. We talked about Twilight. We gave book recommendations, all literally in an hour. It is 10:03 right now. It has been exactly an hour. Oh, hated Gone Girl. I haven't read it. I went right for Sharp Objects, and that's all I needed. Yeah, I guess you would maybe, if you want to recommend it, maybe just have her check like the trigger warnings for it. So it's pretty intense. So maybe just, or if you wanted to look up the trigger warnings, if it's stuff that she's okay with reading, for sure. Maybe also the same with Broken Monsters. Maybe check some trigger warnings, but I wouldn't say it's as intense as Sharp Objects. Yeah, you can give her a head start. Yeah, that one might be a little bit intense subject wise, but I think it's really good. And it's a short read. Definitely a short read. Okay. That's all I had for this stream. I feel like this was super productive. I feel like we got a lot done. So another quick reminder, November book is The Chestnut Man by Soren Fiestrup. Putting it in the chat one more time because I keep butchering their name. That's in the November book. So, and Justin said earlier that it's $1.99 on Kindle if you have Kindle. So I'm always happy to look in my library for recommendations. It's the easiest way to figure out what books I want to recommend. So thank you all for coming. Thank you again for, reading the book with me and chit-chatting with me about it. I really appreciate it. So I will see you guys this weekend with videos and other live streams, but definitely next month for another Creepy Book Club live stream. So yeah, until I see you next, stay strange. Good night.